British Empire, but not supporting the empire erasing countries' cultures, which globalism is doing. And he's so sophisticated. He's probably the smartest talk show host out there.
Going in there saying that, oh, she had pneumonia or, oh, she was sick.
Well, I totally agree with you that this whole thing about pneumonia is bull. I mean, she hasn't had coughing fits for years. She had and falling down, having blood clots from pneumonia. First, she said on Sunday that it was just hot out there. And then she said, oh, I was diagnosed with pneumonia. She didn't go to the hospital. She went to Chelsea's $10 million pad, $1 million a year from the Clinton Foundation swindle, so she could, quote, then walk out and hug the little girl behind the police line, the Secret Service line. It doesn't get more staged in Pyongyang, North Korea. For the call, Chris. Now, we're going to go to John and Mike and Jennifer and Andrew and a lot of other folks. If you want to hold, if not, you can hang up. I'll give the numbers out again later. After Michael Savage leaves us at the bottom of the hour, we're going to go to break and come back with Michael Savage to talk about currently what's happening, the dirty tricks he thinks they're going to play, and how we counter them, and then how we would restore this country if a Donald J. Trump gets in. So when you talk about deplorables, I've been attacked by name. I know that the vice presidential candidate attacked me again and said I'm one of the top deplorables. But I tell you, we're talking to maybe the king deplorable when we come back, according to the globalists, the leftists, the scum, the communists, the socialists, the New World Order people, because Michael Savage has been one of the chief thorns in their side for decades. So we're going to ask one of the top deplorables where he thinks this is going and how we defeat them straight ahead. The book that's just now coming out is Scorched Earth, Restoring the Country After Obama, Michael Savage, #1 New York Times bestseller. And you can go to michaelsavage.wnd.com, and we'll also give you his website on the other side, michaelsavage.com, the home of the Savage Nation, borders, language, culture. All this and more. Scorched Earth, now available. I'm Alex Jones. This is the InfoWars. And us at Infowars.com. Well, I got to tell you, there's probably 3 people in the last few decades that have been on the front lines of fighting globalism and getting made fun of it. That's Michael Savage, Alex Jones, and Matt Drudge. And I guess we're all here today because I'm told to just talk to Drudge, and Drudge is tuned in right now. Scorched Earth, Restoring the Country After Obama, Michael Savage. Very powerful book. Just got it today. Been thumbing through it. I'm a big history buff. Cannot wait to read this book. We need to make this #1 New York Times bestseller list. It is a manifesto against the globalists that have literally taken this country and Europe over. Brexit is only the beginning. The globalists are panicking in every major publication they run. The Economist, the New York Times, the Washington Post, saying that if Trump defeats Hillary, the New World Order is basically broke back. So we are in the title match of history. Everyone should go to bookstores to make this the #1 book. Buy it in bookstores everywhere today. Scorched Earth. This is the front lines of the info war. Joining us for the next 20 minutes or so is Michael Savage of the Savage Nation, one of the top radio shows in the country, New York Times bestselling author. You've got the floor, my friend. Let's talk about where we are, what we're facing. 2 minutes to midnight.
Well, #1, you are really the field marshal of it all, Alex. Come on, we know that they're more afraid of you and InfoWars than almost anyone else in the media. I mean, you, Matt Drudge, there aren't too many left. That's what's worrisome, isn't it, Alex? And you were named by this evil machine specific. And I would say that, you say hyperbole and this and that. We are one bad election away from losing everything, which is on the back of my book cover. And I don't know that we can recover from Obama's scorched earth policies. We know he's trampled the Constitution. And I don't know how any of your listeners, whatever the side they're on, you know, and I know you get all the opposition listening. And good progressives who listen, if they can nail them to a cross. Tell me that one of these things has not magnified under this cretin in the White House. Is this not becoming a third world nation of terror? Check yes. Riots? Check Black Lives Matter.
System survey
Mobs? Check
complete.
Black Lives Matter. Chaos? Check Barack Obama. Terror, riots, mobs, and chaos. This is a novelty in American history. I haven't seen anything like this historically since the 60s. And before that, when was the last time you've seen America like this? And the beauty of all of this, Alex, is how he's gotten away with it, because you've got to give him credit. Barry Obama is the slickest salesman of communism the world has ever discovered. No screaming, no yelling, no threats.
Research complete.
Just a silk smooth, good-looking, nice guy with a lovely wife and children selling the most evil poison the world has ever been asked to ingest. And look how far he's gotten. And every time he gets away with another outrage against this nation, he raises the stakes like a junkie. He needs a higher dose of insult in order to maintain the high. Am I wrong, Alex?
Dead on, Mr. Savage. Dr. Savage, please continue.
So the question is, okay, I'm complaining about him. I'm saying she's worse, which is true, which is ludicrous. She says America wants change. From what? From the same policies she's going to continue? She's suddenly not a progressive lunatic? Wait a minute. She's going to change Obama in which way? Make them worse? How she can't go the other way, then she'd be Donald Trump. So it means she's going to make it even worse than him. That's if she remembers what she's supposed to do, and that's doubtful, as you well know, because she doesn't know how many times she
Construction
fainted.
complete.
So the point is, how do we uncouple this insanity? It is going to be really hard. You know and I know there was a UAC in the 1950s, and it's a dirty word of the most dirty of words, the House of Un-American Activities Committee, which was run by one of the great American patriots, Senator McCarthy. He has been completely decimated by the left. McCarthy was a tail gunner in World War II, one of the most dangerous positions you could ever have in an airplane, right? Belly gunner, B-24.
Easiest target was the tail. That's what they attacked.
Listen what the left did to him. They mocked him and called him Tail Gunner Joe. In other words, they took his heroism and tried to turn it into a mockery. That was in the 50s, Alex, to show you who they were already, the communists. So what was McCarthy saying, this great war hero? He was saying that Hollywood had been infiltrated by communists. The journalists had been infiltrated by communists. Academia had been infiltrated by communists. And well, what happened was they had the hearings. They ruined him. They destroyed the man. And then what happened in the 1990s, I'm sure you remember the book, the Venona Papers came out. It was a Soviet-Russian publication.
Turned out it was all true. The Russian documents came out, and it was worse than what McCarthy was saying.
Worse. It confirmed who in Hollywood, who in academia, who in government was, in fact, an operative of the Soviet Union. So there were subversives. UAC was exactly on target. I say the only way we can save this nation is not talking about it, but by rooting out the subversives in the United States of America. And I know many libertarians are afraid of this for fear that it will turn on them. Well, let's put that fear aside for the moment.
In fact, let me just add this since you're saying this, because this is a point I want to make. If you look at the globalists, if you look at their leftists, they're saying the alt-right can't be tolerated. They're saying we need to be shut down and arrested. Hillary says she's going to shut down Breitbart. That means Drudge, you. They say they're bringing back fairness doctrine. They say they're coming after us. They're run by this foreign globalist Soros. Russia's already kicked him out. These are foreign globalists here overthrowing our country. So under the Constitution, these aren't even citizens. They don't have the rights. They're here overthrowing the system. To survive, we must go on the offensive. We must root them out. It's the only way to ever beat them. They are criminals. They are subversives. They are Saul Alinsky pledging to Lucifer. Please continue.
Yeah, they want to lynch all of us, if not electronically, then physically. And the fact of the matter is they have names. These are not nameless, faceless organizations. The number one and the worst of them all, in my opinion, is the ACLU. The Anti-Christian Liberties Union is the number one. They're the head of the snake. Now, the man behind all of it is George Soros, the most evil man on the planet, in my estimation. The absolutely most evil person the world has seen in modern times. You know, you don't have to hang people, electrocute them, put them in cages. You don't have to do the things that ISIS is doing to be evil. He's evil on a larger scale than the ISIS executioners are, because he's gutting the United States of America. He's trampling on our Constitution.
He helped fund the Arab Spring. He helped fund the Arab Spring. Hillary, all of them.
Amen. And I keep saying she owns it. He was the one who by the way, he funded it, but architect, the best I can put together, was Zbigniew Brzezinski,
That's
Jimmy
right.
Carter's national security advisor. Brzezinski was the architect. Soros was the financier. Hillary Clinton was the publicist and an actor, along with John Kerry.
Back with Kerry and Obama.
She destroyed the Middle East. She owns that. How does the media, forget the media, why doesn't Trump put her on a cross with that
And
one.
by the way, Mr. Savage, Dr. Savage, that's not hyperbole. She literally destabilized 20-something countries that Al-Qaeda and ISIS are running around. Hundreds of thousands of dead Christians. They won't even let Christians out of the region. These people are demons, just like the true liberal Assange said, look, I've got the documents. The press is dead if she gets in. Our necks are in nooses. She's a demon. You must stop her.
I hear you. And I also saw who wrote the other day that Obama, the nice, slick, smooth, nice family man, has created the greatest surveillance state in the history of the world.
Construction complete.
And suddenly liberals are afraid of it because they understand what happens when the guillotine starts falling. First, it takes out your opposition. But as the world learned during the French Revolution, the guillotine has an unlimited taste for blood. And it doesn't stop with the enemies of the revolution. Then they turn on their own kind and start executing their own so-called counter-revolutionaries, as was done in the Soviet Union, as was done in Cuba, as was done in Hitler's Germany. They killed their own.
The brown shirts.
And the guillotine keeps falling and cuts heads. It is the most thirsty instrument on earth. And that's why the left ought to step up and shut their fat mouths when we stand up to these monsters. Need to be stopped, or we're all finished, left, right, and center.
That's right. So how do we stop them? Your book, I just got it, incredible, gets into the blueprint, sir, with your incredible historical understanding. How do we beat these bastards? Because they know we've got them in a corner now, but what tricks are they going to play? And then if we get Trump in, the battle just begins. What do we do?
Oh, you said the magic words. If Trump wins, the battle begins, because we know he is surrounded by neocons. We see that. I was shocked to read yesterday he hired Woolsey.
Yeah.
Woolsey,
Construction
former
complete.
head of the CIA under Bill Clinton, is now going to be his CIA director. So I laid in bed last night. I said, wait a minute, what is this about? And I said, well, you know, the CIA is a complicated organization. I mean, you need someone who knows how to run it, right? But look at Woolsey's track record. How could he join it as a senior advisor? Why him? Isn't there a returning combat veteran who worked in military intelligence who would have been a better choice? Some higher-up American citizen patriot?
Somebody like General Flynn.
CIA under Trump? Why Woolsey? Why Foggy Bottom all over again? Okay, but Alex, I don't want to waste your time.
No, please take over.
Well, the way to defeat the enemy is to know your enemy. The way to know your enemy is to name the enemy. So who are the subversive organizations who have destroyed and are destroying our civil liberties?
Construction complete.
We know the ACLU. We know the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah.
We know CARE. In my three top of them. But I want to read to you all the others. Can I do that?
Please.
Because I made a whole list in Scorched Earth. I studied the cockroaches. And I said, let's bring them into the light and expose them. Make them scatter like cockroaches when you turn on the light. The request I am making, Alex Jones, and to all your listeners, is this. Name subversive organizations. As organizations you consider to be so far off the ideal of the American way that they are in fact subversive. And what does that mean? That means they spend all of their resources going against the wishes of the Constitution and the taxpayer. So who are they? I have a list. They're right here. Who are these
They're
organizations?
trying to conquer us.
They've done a pretty good job so far.
They see us as deplorable because we just want to be free.
National Lawyers Guild. Who are they? One of the most dangerous activist
System
groups in the
survey
nation.
complete.
Every time there was a
Anomaly
riot
found.
by Black Thugs Matter at an anti-police protest, the scum in the National Lawyers Guild sent out their deranged psychotic lawyers from the worst law schools in America to make sure the police could not do their jobs. Every last shyster in the National Lawyers Guild is the type of lawyer that you have come to hate in plain English. Now, of course, they will argue that they're just for the underdog, that they're for the poor immigrant and the oppressed minority. Well, you know what? I don't buy it. I want a lawyers guild for the tax-paying middle class, Alex, not a lawyers guild for the subversives who are bringing in refugees, immigrants, whatever you want to call them, by the tens of millions.
And we have the Soros emails where he admits it's to destabilize the country. He admits destabilization.
Who admitted that?
George Soros in the latest DC leaks and others. He's in there admitting that it's a plan to overthrow Europe and the U.S. and create racial strife.
Correct. Alliance for Democracy, Amnesty International, Black Lives Matter, Center for American Progress, Center for Media and Democracy. I'll read a few of them. Center for Science and the Public Interest, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics. I have 2 pages that I researched, Alex, in my book.
Is Media
the
Matters and David
organization.
Brock in there?
They're all over the place. You name these organizations, it's like a spider web. Rockefeller Brothers Foundation, Blue Moon Fund, things you never heard of.
Ford Foundation.
Joyce Foundation. Who ever heard of the Joyce Foundation? HKH Foundation, Dolan Charitable Trust, Vanguard Foundation, Archer Foundation, Saul Alinsky's Back of the Yards Community Council, National Hip Hop Political Convention, Cuban Council of Churches. People don't even know these organizations. These cockroaches are crawling all over us, devouring our flag of liberty, Al.
You're absolutely right. And they admit they want to collapse us and our borders into a world government. Dr. Savage, when you say the battle just begins, and I say that if Trump gets in, and I'm not counting our chickens yet, I mean, why do you say the battle just begins? We just lost to Skype. Skype is a wondrous thing, but it has its issues. Ladies and gentlemen, this is so historic. The establishments control the left and the right to bring in globalism, but they're making their worldwide takeover with the left. And this is not a liberal group. Liberal means lower taxes, more freedom, more control locally. This is not liberal. They call themselves liberal to have the moral high ground. The Republican establishment is working with them in a big, big way. The book is Scorched Earth, Restoring the Country After Obama. Michael Savage. We're listener supported by you, our main sponsor of listeners. We have Hillary for President shirts at cost, $9.95. That includes the shipping, $9.95. $9.95 shipping and the shirt all together. That funds the operation. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com for our supplements. But get the book, Scorched Earth, Restoring the Country After Obama, Michael Savage. Get it in stores. It's basically an end cap and a bestseller to educate people that are not aware of what's happening. Because that's Michael Savage's real skill, I found. That's something I'm able to do as well. Most of these mainline right-wingers can't do it because they're just following a script. Is that he's able to get leftists, a lot of them that mean well, out of their cocoon. And Dr. Savage continuing with these subversive organizations in the 5-6 minutes we have left. You promised to come back next week if your voice isn't out. I really appreciate you to do more and talk about the campaign. But hitting some of these other areas, her health, her cover-up, the mainstream media's ratings imploding, them trying to start all these new wars. Russia, I'm not lionizing Putin, but he's bringing back nationalism. He's arrested and thrown out all the Soros people as subversive. I mean, just all the crazy things happening. It seems there's a quickening. Do you agree with that? And what does this signify?
What you just said, you explained it better than I could, Alex. I mean, you see the global picture. The fact is, which one do you want me to talk about?
Anyone you want. Just, I mean, the top, top things.
I'll talk about something that in the middle of us talking about and me listing all the subversive organizations that I researched in Scorched Earth. Did you notice what happened? We lost the connection, that my Skype dropped. Did you catch that one?
It's crazy. Well, they admit Google's all game, the internet's game. They admit they're blocking terms for searching on Hillary. They admit they're censoring patriot groups in Europe that criticize open borders. It's crazy.
You mentioned a key word there, Google. For weeks, I've been railing against the monopolies that have emerged in America under Obama, the dictator. Google, Facebook, Microsoft, of course, had been there before. Look at these companies. They're violating the antitrust statutes of the United States legal system. There is an antitrust division of the U.S. Justice Department that does not touch Mark Zuckerberg, does not touch the Google boys, does not touch Bill Gates, and there's a reason. Because they all support the globalist New World Order agenda. They support it to the nth degree. And I've been screaming that when Trump becomes president, he must reactivate and use the Justice Department to break up these monopolies and give other people a chance to build a business. And I make a point of Teddy Roosevelt, who, as you well know, and his campaign slogan was, bust the trust. The trusts in his day were Standard Oil, Rockefeller's Railroads and Oil Company that dominated railroads and dominated the oil business. They didn't give anyone a chance of emerging. If they did, they crushed
And
it.
it's the same globalist grandkids today that are running globalism.
Zuckerberg, $58 billion isn't enough for that pig. He needs to cut the wages of American workers and throw them out of the country and bring in Indians who'll work for one. God bless India. God bless their intelligence. God bless India.
But we got to look out for us a little bit.
They belong in India. Let them own economy and let them hire IT workers at a right salary. So yeah, you want to talk about jobs? Why do you think? No, not you. I'm talking rhetorically.
Sure.
Why do you think Trump is surging amongst the blue collar, disenfranchised white male? Why? Because they've been dumped upon. They've been stepped upon. The Eddies, whose grandfathers defeated Hitler. The Eddies, whose fathers died in the jungles of Vietnam, are being crapped upon by these vermin, these cowardly vermin, these sick, deviant perverts. I can't stand it. I don't want to. I'm trying not to, Alex. This is the first interview I've done.
Wow.
For this book.
Thank you.
And Alex, I got to tell you, you're on the front lines. You're going to be around a lot longer than I am in the media and probably on this planet. And you're doing the job that needs to be done. And all I can say is, as the time comes to an end right here, when I say that Obama and the left are practicing a scorched earth policy, there's a reason for it. Treated in the past, they burnt everything to the ground. They burnt the crops. They killed the livestock. They burned the barns.
Scorched
they burned
earth.
the houses. Is that not what's going on here with this left when they see an ascendant right and ascendant American
That's right.
patriot
They're blowing
movement?
it all up.
They're burning our pathways to survival. They're burning our internet. They want to burn radio, burn any access.
They're trying to start
the
race war. They're saying kill the cops. They're getting away with everything.
I keep saying, Soros gave them $70 million to those street thugs. All we need now is Obama to turn them into his well-funded private army. He can deputize and give them government arms as he did ISIS. And then you will have the young pioneers of the Soviet Union. You will have the Red Brigades. You will have the Red Brigades of communist China frightening everybody in the society on a daily basis. Alex, we're that close to it all coming to that. Obama is not finished yet. He has several months left yet to burn it all down, Alex.
I agree. We've only got a minute left then. In your gut, you're a smart cookie, Dr. Savage. What do you expect them to pull?
George Bush did in the last few months of his regime. I was screaming and warning George Bush as a fiscal socialist. He's not through yet. Do you remember the housing crisis that followed? I expect that if it looks like Trump is going to win or Grandma falls off the stage again for good and they replace her with Freddie from one of the Nightmare movies, Kane Who Can't Win, I expect the worst. I expect them calling off the election. I expect martial law. I expect
research
it's not possible. I expect a complete financial breakdown to create even further chaos. That's what I expect.
I concur with that. So every person, every race, color, and creed that wants to live in a somewhat free country now be involved, spread the word, expose these people. They're all over the news pushing the idea of suspending the election now because of Hillary. The book, Scorched Earth, in bookstores all over the country. Michael Savage, michaelsavage.com. Thank you so much for spending so much time with us today. We got about 45 seconds. Final point.
There is no final point. The nation is wrecked right now. It's going to be unredeemably destroyed unless the Republican candidate wins. And I keep saying Republican candidate now because if I say the word Trump, people turn off. There are so many anti-Trump fake conservatives out there that the minute you say Trump, they go into overdrive. So say the Republican candidate. That makes it a little easier for them to recognize that there is a choice right now.
They're really showing themselves as operatives, aren't they?
All the people who hate Alex Jones and Michael Savage, who are true blue conservatives, who are they? Who are they, Alex?
We don't even need to say their names because they've destroyed themselves. That's the good news. They're losing the war. They've revealed themselves. The fight's now out in the open. And Dr. Savage, my gut tells me we're going to win in the end. What do you think?
Well, with men like Glenn Beck rubbing his face in cornflakes, who was obviously a very... you look at him putting his face in cornflakes, the man is obviously a very disturbed individual who was never on any solid ground. And I have said before, liberalism is a mental disorder.
You, sir, are absolutely right. You've charted the course. God bless you. Thank you, Michael Savage. Get the book, folks.
Alex.
Incredible interview. All right, Tracy Martin, the admitted longtime chef of the Clintons, who heard amazing stuff. You're going to get an exclusive right now. He's about to join us in about 2 minutes. Michael Savage, a best-selling author, researcher in the WikiLeaks. Hillary getting him blocked from traveling to the UK. They now admit to set a precedent to ban anybody they want from traveling. I mean, you talk about Nazi Germany, folks. That gets overused. This is the essence of authoritarianism. The Democrats have tried to get travel bans. The IRS opens an audit up where you can't travel outside the U.S. They now want to expand it to just flying, period. These are internal checkpoints. The book is Scorched Earth, Restoring the Country After Obama. Dr. Savage is our guest. 20 days, ladies and gentlemen, to the election. Off by that hard break I had to take, recapping for folks that just joined us, and thousands a second are tuning in. Clearly, they came out and said, we're federalizing elections. Oh, my God, the Russians and Trump want to steal it. Then Trump goes, I think you'll try to rig it. Democrats are famous for that. They've now been caught in New York already doing it in early voting. They respond going, "You're insane. Election fraud doesn't exist." I mean, that's an exact quote of Obama. So I'm living in this crazy world where they're federalizing the elections, first time ever, taking them over because of an unprecedented threat. When Trump says you might try to steal it, they go, "You're insane. It doesn't exist." So Dr. Savage, you talked to him yesterday on air. What do you think's happening?
I said to Donald, here's what they're doing. They're setting it up as follows. For 3-4 months, they've been saying the Russians are hacking our elections. They're to protect our elections, which are sacred. We want to turn it over to DHS, to the genius who's given us one terrorist attack after another and has done nothing to stop it. He still has his job, right? So he wants to now make sure our elections are safe. Russians are hacking. Follow the bouncing ball.
No proof.
If Trump wins, which is highly likely, by the way, which we can talk about in a minute or two or another time. Trump wins, government declares, oh, we have evidence that the Russians hacked it. He's a friend of Putin. The election is null and void. We're going to recall another election in, 6 months? Until then, Mr. Obama has graciously agreed to continue his public service in the United States of America. Thank you very much. We're not taking any questions. Goodbye.
And we have Biden announcing they're going to launch a giant cyber attack on the Russians and saying if the Russians respond, they may respond militarily, which is a doctrine Hillary came out with 2 months ago. And suddenly NATO announced that's their new doctrine. She's literally calling the show.
All I wanted to say was, I said it to Donald and he didn't take the bait. I'm glad he didn't. I said, don't even answer me because they'll crucify you if you agree with me. They're going to steal the election. I'll make it simple. In the 5th grade, I ran for class president in Queens, New York. I was a funny kid. I was a wild kid. I was out of control. I won the election by a landslide. The teacher stood up and said, this election doesn't count. I don't want Michael to be president. And then she had another election, and I wasn't class president. So, hey, look, if it could be done in the 5th grade in the Bronx when I was a kid, why can't they do it to us now, right? We're just children.
I had a similar thing happen. Things in this world, you start to learn how rigged they are, and it's just crazy to see them go, even sometimes in the same newscast. The Russians are rigging the election. We're having to bring in the UN to oversee it. And then meanwhile, Trump's crazy. He says they're rigging the election, even as we catch election officials admitting to fraud. We do have a minute or two more if you've got it. Elaborate on what you're saying. I mean, I agree. The internal polls I know from Trump, but also other big groups are doing internal polls. 5, 10, 15 points ahead in most battleground states. He's going to win in a landslide. They're only creating the perception he's way behind, so we buy it right now. Do you concur with that? A, B, what happens when he gets in?
100% right. You and I think the same way. I said to Donald yesterday on my radio show, I said, Donald, I said, what they're doing is they're not trying to get Hillary, people to vote for Hillary. They've got all the people they could ever get. I said, what they're trying to do is discourage Trump voters from voting by thinking that it's over already. They're trying to make them think that he lost, that she won, so they're going to throw their hands up and not vote for him. The whole election hinges upon one thing right now.
Construction
voter
complete.
Turnout.
System survey
The black
complete.
people are not turning out for Hillary. They don't like her. The Hispanic people are really not that excited about Hillary.
She has no crowds.
And it's the Hispanic men have always liked Trump, as I said 6 months ago, for a number of reasons. One, most of them come here to work very hard to become an American. They have the wives and the children. They want a house with a picket fence, and they look at Donald Trump as a man they'd like to be like, not a man they hate. They look at her and they say, ugh,
Evading
whatever.
hostile
So
fleet.
it's all voter turnout.
Under attack.
He's got to make sure that people think he can still win, which he can. And then if all of us who are supporting him come out, I think he will win. It's that simple.
That's right. You can't steal landslides. I've interviewed experts who are Democrats, Republicans, Diebold engineers from the highest levels. They agree. You cannot steal a landslide because it is cobbled together how the systems work. And the battleground states are key. We'll be obviously listening to Savage Nation with Michael Savage. That comes on in just a few hours. And we'll obviously be following. We have full election coverage tomorrow night, live with the debates, Infowars.com/show, MichaelSavage.com. The new book, Scorched Earth. Thank you so much for joining us.
Always the best, Alex. Watch your back.
You too, absolutely. And again, a lot of people on talk radio can't believe that I have other talk show host on, or he's had me on his show and has some of our reporters on. We just want to save the country, folks. Michael Savage has had hundreds of best-selling books. I think it's over 100. 3 or 4 number one. He doesn't need the money. His family, he's very successful in business. I don't need the money. I don't want to do this. I don't want to take on massive
Hostile
murder, Hillary
fleet
Clinton,
engaged.
but I've got to. There's no damn future. And I see these other arrogant talk show hosts that they just love attacking other hosts. They
Hostile
love
fleet
trying to be
engaged.
number one. having these pissing contests. I don't want to lose my Second Amendment. I don't want to lose what little private property rights we have, and religious rights. And I don't want to live in a country overrun by a bunch of people wearing clothes over their heads that keep women as slaves. And it's for me, it's total ideology. And there's only one other host nationally that gets it. That's Michael Savage. And that's what's so refreshing about it, and that's why we've got to fight. You've got Drudge Report over there as well, telling the truth. Breitbart doing it, and they're saying, oh, the media, the right-wing media is getting more radical. No, we're getting more awake, okay? We're facing a world government takeover by private corporate megabanks. It's in all the WikiLeaks. They say their philosophy's making us poor to control us. That's called slavery, people. I'm anti-slavery, and I'm angry. And we're in a crisis. And I just look at these criminals on TV laughing at us. All these people that wrote Obamacare, they go on TV and laugh at us, and they go on C-SPAN and Charlie Rose and CNN and laugh at us. It's like, man, it's time you get your teeth knocked out. I mean, I'm not a violent person, but politically, I mean that as a metaphor, I want to take a baseball bat to their teeth. These people are bullies that have never been checked. That's exactly what Savage said. Now, our next guest is giving us this exclusive today. There's only been one other short interview, but this is an official interview with Tracy Martin on record, who was the travel chef for the Clintons. They were traveling at the time, so one of their main chefs on record, senior partner at Burns Martin and Associates, a culinary staffing and events management firm. And people will pay for a lot coming out and do this. There's a lot of courage. People die for this. Their other chef got killed just last year. He was executive sous chef for the catering at the Kennedy Center, performing arts and travels, Clinton White House, and private services for Mrs. Robert Kennedy and other members of the family. So by going public here, folks, he's flushing all this, but he wants you to know the truth. This is a hero. On the staffing agency Wolf, Martin and Associates, and owned and operated Feast catering company in Chattanooga. And that for all this, folks, you need to hire his company because he's not going to get any business from the Blue Bloods. He studied culinary arts in Europe at Le Cordon Bleu. I'm not going to go through it all. It's a top chef, obviously, and he has put on parties and worked for Margaret Thatcher, Helmut Kohl, President George H.W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, the Chinese president. It goes on and on. Boris Yeltsin, you name it. So he's one of the top chefs in the world. He joins us. And I'm going to talk about why he's having to do this. This is amazing because, again, it's one thing if you're an independent talk show host, tell the truth and get the threats and stuff. But man, when your job is feeding the elite and the rest of it, it's amazing. So Tracy Martin, we appreciate your courage. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you.
Debris analyzed.
Where does it start? I mean, what takes you to this point, sir?
Well, I feel like it's my moral obligation as a concerned citizen, as a taxpayer, having seen what went on with their administration. This woman has sat on every side of the issue and still can sit there and tell us, what she wants us to believe. And it just came to a point where I was courted by Tom Barley for quite some time to come forward, and I hadn't, but Tom Barley sort of broke the story open on his show, and it just sort of went from there.
Wow. Again, being one of their executive chefs worldwide and to other world leaders for many, many years, and, obviously, being close to them specifically, why are you going public? What did you witness Hillary Clinton do? I had former Secret Service agent Burns on yesterday who said that he saw and heard disparaging marks towards Hispanics by her, but he went on to say she was mean and nasty to everyone, including hitting Secret Service agents in the back of the head with Bibles and things. Describe what you witnessed.
Well, first of all, with if I got when I could talk, when I couldn't talk, is that no matter where we went, she'd come in, she'd be grateful, say thanks. The back of the house, people in the kitchen, etc. But that was always if there was press around. She's a completely different person when the camera's not on her. And I ran into an incident. I was at the Elizabeth Taylor Medical Center in Washington, D.C., and we were doing a tea with Mrs. Chirac, the former French president's wife. And it was just Mrs. Clinton, Mrs. Chirac, and myself in the same room. And one of the people brought in something, and it did not please her, and she used the N-word very openly. to me. And I think that's a general pattern when they talk like that. That's not like they say it just out of the clear blue.
Again, former top chef to the Clintons, Mr. Martin, can you walk through specifically what was happening in the conversation, what was said?
System survey complete.
What had happened with the conversation is I was just, like I said, Mrs. Chirac, Mrs. Clinton, and myself in there. I was just serving them tea. Because as a travel chef, I did not do stuff in the White House. I did stuff in the White House.
Understand.
We went places.
You were their travel chef. Continue.
So she brought, we had somebody bring in something, I think it was like some cheese sandwiches or whatever, and it wasn't exactly what she wanted. So she tells me to tell that N-word to please, leave and get what she wants. I mean, that's very common. I mean, just the demeanor and she would write things down like that to, she had so many handlers, and when I worked for them in Washington, I used to think to myself, because the parties aside, I thought, this is great. I'm a kid that grew up on a small farm in Chautauqua County, and here I am working for the free leader of the world. So you sort of you don't look at this other small stuff, and then one day you realize, they're really terrible people.
Wow, so just to be clear, Tracy Martin,
she's going to do us any better.
Hostile fleet engaged.
One thing, she does something totally opposite, and now with all the WikiLeaks information coming out, everything that I've said for the last few years is all proven. Just like Donald Trump has said, it's all coming out.
So you've last year talked to folks about this, but now you're starting to go on air because it's being backed up by the WikiLeaks. Now, again, the executive chef when they were worldwide travel, Tracy Martin, joins us. He's on record, doing these events for years, and other presidents that just tuned in. Please elaborate. Or did I hear you wrong? Did you say that she even did handwritten letters sometimes saying N-word this, N-word that? I mean, did I hear you say
that is definitely correct.
Please elaborate.
Situation log updated.
Well, if a lot of times because they have so many handlers and everything, they just scratch things down on paper just because you need to be quiet. There's a lot of people around. Just take care of this.
No, that's what lawyers do. She's a lawyer, so she's writing notes, handing them to you. What'd she write?
Like without, like tell that, N-word, that I don't need them or to go else or, whatever, or that, she could say that bitch over there or whatever. I mean, when you'd want to say, is that you?
Well, that's what I've talked to Secret Service and others. They say she goes out of her way to attack everyone, and if it's Hispanic, it'll be a Hispanic prerogative, a slang term, disparaging term. If it's black person, white person, they'll do it. If it's a woman, it's a bitch. If it's a man, it's a... what other type of things does she write or say to you over the years?
Well, I think in general, it's just her condescending attitude, because the Clintons, no matter what, they are a machine. They made they're not a couple. When he was running for office, he said, we are in a partnership. All it is a money machine. It has been that way since day one, and it's still that way 30 years later.
Well, I've talked to Secret Service agents on and off the record, and they say it's like she doesn't have a real personality. There's either this fake one that's very charming or this crazy, hateful one. But I've talked to other military people, and I brought up the Secret Service and said, how do you know that? And they didn't want me to even go there because it sounds so nuts. They think they'll be discrediting, but I'll just say it. They say Hillary almost like switches off. She'll go, I'm going to rest now, and just go...
Yeah, it was almost like, don't forget you're working for the Clintons. That type of an attitude. No matter what, no matter where, it was always about the Clintons. And like I said in Tom Barley's interview, they just for an example, they bought that house and they left the government in Chappaqua. They have a Secret Service booth. They are billing the U.S. government rent for that Secret Service booth, which in turn is paying for their mortgage. The same thing with her large home in Washington, D.C. We, as the government, are paying for their mortgages.
Now, specifically...
the Clinton Initiative, which is Clinton Global Initiative, which is a machine for them.
Tracy Martin, executive chef, when they traveled for many years, were there ever any other cases where she verbally said, go tell that N-word to do this or that? Because you were saying many times she would write it. Was it many times writing it and just once verbally, or were there ever any other racial slurs you heard her say?
No, I think verbally,
Incoming
I mean,
transmission.
like with Hispanics, with anybody, I mean, it's just, they are so, that sense of self-entitlement and so far above everything.
So that's what the Secret Service said. That they said it almost wasn't even like it was a race. It was just this arrogance to attack everyone, and I'm better than everybody, and use whatever pejorative there is. That's what I've been getting. So specific.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. It's they are above everybody, and they have that so ingrained in themselves that they
System
really
survey
believe
complete.
that.
Wow. What does she say about Hispanics?
Well, I just think it's not just necessarily Hispanics or African Americans, American Indians. It can be anybody.
No, I understand she attacked everybody by whatever their bad handle was, but what does she say about Hispanics?
Well, to me directly, I have not heard her, but I've heard people that have heard her say, about Hispanics, about the way they, their funny accents and the way they talk, or can't they get this right, or whatever. I mean, everything is at their convenience.
So just an elitism that's those dumbass Hispanics. Just, it was more just of an elitism, like they weren't competent, is what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. Nobody was competent. I don't care if you're African
Ships
American, if you're
upgraded.
Muslim.
Construction complete.
Next hour, we have other guests joining us. Obviously, this is a big news-making interview. Paul Watson has an interview up on Infowars.com breaking down Tracy Martin, the fact that he did work for the Clintons as their travel chef, and has that work for other world leaders, has a lot of courage to do this and to come out. But this is what everyone tells me. You don't look her in the eyes. She screams and yells. She doesn't give tips. She treats people terribly. When she sees a person in a wheelchair, she says, get that GD cripple away from me. When people bring dogs in to search her room, she just always screams at the military. I mean, she goes out of her way to be a demon. But if the cameras are around, she's totally loving. But the minute the camera turns off, it's like she's got to balance it out by being nasty. It's like she's got
Anomaly
multiple
found.
personalities, Tracy Martin.
Absolutely.
Well, you got the floor. I mean, you were getting cut off by the break. You were just getting into the fact, basically mirroring what Mr. Burns, the Secret Service agent, said yesterday, was just that she just hated everybody, but did use the racial pejorative.
Research complete.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think the Clintons, she especially, has a sense of self-entitlement. She is above and beyond. I mean, her true belief, I think, is she's above and beyond everyone. She has
Construction
she
complete.
takes no solace in who she talks about, who she talks to.
Situation
I've seen
updated.
Secret Service trying to protect her, and the way she downgrades certain conversations to them. I mean, to people, anybody.
You mean she talks to them like they're...
Just covered her for everything.
She talks to them like they're children, is what you're saying?
Pardon me?
When you say downgrades conversation, what do you mean?
Well, like she downgrades them. I mean, because, like I said,
She puts them down. Give us an example. I know you're wanting to be polite here, but you're a guy that puts on, world-famous dinners, and you're all about decor, but decorum, I mean, just give us an example.
Well, I think, like with Secret Service, I mean, she just, like, the demanding attitude. We're all supposed to be subservient to them. They're it. They're the only people that count ever. Even if we were in a, like, for example, this event with Mrs. Chirac, I mean, it was like we'd have to wait for Mrs. Clinton because, God forbid if she was to wait for anybody else.
Obama's done evil stuff. Obama's done evil stuff.
That way, and I was involved. My end of my term with them was when the whole Monica thing broke loose, and I mean, just to see how they would show up in church every Sunday, high and mighty, and here we go, because that's the way it was. I mean, they cannot do wrong. They believe they do no wrong anywhere.
Well, I was about to say, I'm not defending Obama for his record, but Secret Service people say he's real nice in person comparatively. And that's like a few weeks ago in Tel Aviv, he's like, for 20 minutes, Bill's making him wait. He finally goes, Bill, get on the plane. And it's like they're so entitled, what I've heard, they just think they're God, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And no matter what, I mean, we were doing an event out at Hickory Hill at Mrs. Robert Kennedy. This is after I was done with the Clintons. And I believe it was an Easter brunch. And there again, you're waiting for them. And it's, when you're at that position in the world, you can pretty much get away with whatever you want.
But they enjoy it. They do it on purpose is what I'm told. So we're getting a clear picture of their psychology. And I'm going to get a top psychiatrist to listen to this and analyze with other interviews. We're going to break about 5 more minutes with you, sir. I'd like to have you back up soon. And we appreciate your courage. It's amazing. But let me ask you this question. Did Hillary Clinton ever have a foul odor? Because a lot of people we talk to say she stunk a lot.
Not to me. I try not to get that close. I just dealt with what I had to do my job.
Else say she had a foul odor.
I have heard people say, about her.
Well, stay right there. We're going to come right back. Stay with us. Well, if you don't think Tracy Martin, the world-renowned executive, top chef, served major presidents, world leaders, you name it,
Situation
and was the
log
Clinton's
updated.
travel chef, isn't putting his business, his life, his name on the line in a big way, well, then you're not paying attention. I know most of you know that, but I want to recognize his courage right now. And everybody else has been speaking out and telling the truth, like Secret Service agent Burns yesterday. I've talked to Secret Service on and off record. I've talked to a lot of people. The reason I bring up the smell is it's part of psychological research. Psychopaths, sociopaths, and others tend to not clean themselves, especially when they get in a position of power. And it's just all part of, being the boss. And I'm not going to get into some of the other things they do, but it just goes to their mindset. We got 4 minutes. I appreciate your time. You've got the floor. You're risking your life, your treasure, your name. We salute you. You don't got a book out, nothing. You're just here telling the truth. And so other points you'd like to relay to the world about why you're going public?
I think, as I had said in my Tom Barley's, the original interview,
Research complete.
I feel it is my obligation because, I've sat in the back pictures silent for so long, and I did pay them compliments. I mean, like I said, I was a kid from a small farm town. I found myself working in Washington, D.C. I'm now doing events with the leader of the free world. And then to find out how they really are behind the scenes, I just happened to, end up working for the Clintons. It could have been, the Obamas or somebody else down the road. But
System survey complete.
Total transparency of this is not the complete picture. And I feel like the American people need to know who she really is, the president really is. If we get her back in office, we are dealing with a whole nother Obama term. We're dealing with a whole nother Bill Clinton scenario. She's going to have him doing just as much as he was before. And she's failed at so many things, and I've seen that with my own eyes. I mean, back when she was doing the access to health care. And, it is what it is. And we as people need to stop. I mean, we're going to see our country fall.
Well, see, that's their philosophy, though. They want,
at that point right now.
I agree. They want each new initiative to fail to then give them more power because they never get held accountable. See, the WikiLeaks show, she wants it all to fail, brother. How diabolical is that?
No, well, that's why. I mean, it's unbelievable, and that stuff is all true. I mean, it's not like they sat there and wrote it. And
no, they're confirming the FBI, the new FBI leak, the new FBI release shows. It's all confirmed. We're trying to bribe the FBI, getting orders from some weird shadow government. I mean, God help us. That's why they picked her, though, because she's such a monster. She enjoys hurting little people. She wants to make us poor.
Absolutely. And you can't tell me that Bill Clinton wrote back when the Attorney General's sitting there, that was just a coincidence.
Well, those of us that like to serve people and like hospitality and enjoy happiness, some of the best folks are chefs and cooks because they enjoy life. And I love to cook food for my family. I'm not a great chef like you, but I cook a pretty damn good steak, or pretty much a lot of other stuff. And my dad, grandma's taught me how. But the point is, we enjoy doing that for people. These folks like this don't. They don't want to build a good economy. They don't. They get off on, they're the boss, they're in charge, and you ain't got nothing.
And they actually refer to us people as the small people.
Oh, you heard that?
No, absolutely. And not just from the Clintons. I mean, when I worked for the Kennedys, I mean, they all refer to us as the small people.
Yeah, well, America was about small people.
The sense of self-entitlement is beyond.
God, how would they describe that? Please tell us.
demeanor talk about us. You know, the small people. I mean, I've heard that referred to by, you know, handlers and aides over the past. You know, what about, you know, to get somebody to do this or whatever? It's so far above the way you treat.
It's in the new WikiLeaks. They say we got to keep the general public, the small people, dumb. Wow, we appreciate your courage, Tracy Martin. Please come back on the Nightly News or for a longer interview. We want to support you and pray for you and hold you up in prayer. God bless you, sir.
Thank you, Al. Have a good day.
You guys risking his life. It's quite a time to be alive right now, ladies and gentlemen. Trump is ahead in internal polls, 5 to 15 points. Of course, you heard Nick Gingrich confirm that a few days ago. Any inside baseball, but they know election fraud's coming because they've seen Bloomberg, Reuters, all the major polling, Politico, having Hillary 5-10 points ahead by sampling, in some cases, more, generally right below, double Democrats than they sample Republicans. I mean, this is a time to remember.
Construction
this
complete.
is unbelievable. We've had Michael
Construction
Savage on.
complete.
We've had Tracy Martin on. He's only done one other interview. And that's because his friend talks me into going on the air. That is the on-record executive sesh on the travel details for years for the Clintons, but back to Ronald Reagan, you name it. Putting his whole big executive business on the line to tell the truth. Because he said they called people little people, they called Hispanics names, he heard them call black people the N-word. You tell that N-word, get me this dessert right now, and then she'd write notes way more than what she heard it. Like, you know, lawyers do that. You don't talk in the courtroom. She's always writing notes. Kill that piece of crap, give me this. I mean, this is a monster. The Clintons were putting power in our KKK people. Do you know who was running things in the 70s and 80s in Arkansas, in East Texas, in Louisiana, Mississippi? KKK. And it's come out, folks. I mean, it's just, it makes my head spin. By the way, people that watch TV think the KKK is running around in white outfits going for black people. They do it. They're mainly about running banks and running white farmers out, taking people's property. It's just a gang of scum. Now we're going to go to our guest here, and we've got a big Haiti report with Joe Biggs and others coming in here at the bottom of the hour. That is just so incredible that I don't even know words to describe it. We have people dying on tape. We're in there with aid missions coming in. The UN won't fly people out there dying to Port-au-Prince, just 30 minutes away. No one ever got any Clinton aid. You say Clinton there, it's like you said Satan. Everybody flips out. The big report's coming tomorrow, but Gary Haben, the billionaire philanthropist, is going to be joining us from Port-au-Prince via Skype. We'll see if it's working. That's all coming up. We're going to have Joel Gilbert here briefly. He was instrumental in helping do some of the research and background work in helping get Danny Williams' video out. So that's very, very exciting to have that going on. Just briefly, I skipped a break last hour. I didn't plug once. And they're telling me, Alex, we're not going to have money to pay the bills if you don't sell stuff. We're self-supporting. We sell the best seeds, the best products, the best shortwave radios, the best storable foods, the best nutraceuticals out there, the best films, you name it. And we've got free shipping running for the big final showdown tomorrow, right through tomorrow. It's going to end on Thursday. Store-wide at InfoWarsStore.com. And we have 25% off our nootropic, Brain Force. $22. Editors with similar formulas are $50, $60. We sell it for 30-something. It's a great deal. $22.46. We just put in the computer, 25% off is what it comes up with. We have all these weird numbers. Huge all over the place. Amazing, healthy way to boost your cognitive ability. It's amazing what it does. InfoWarsLife.com. Go read the reviews. They're so crazy that I'm not even going to read them on air.
Construction
I mean, I guess I can read a few. Here's one Dutch from Los Angeles. Would recommend this especially to my fellow truck drivers who spend time mostly on the road. Highly recommend this to my family and friends. 25% off right now and free shipping. Brain Force allows work days while staying energized and maintaining mental energy to function better than I ever have. Also helps me stay awake through the nights. I had the folks not even give us the incredible reviews about what salesmen are doing on it and the rest of it, but that's Ricky B. in Rochester, Minnesota. So take advantage. The last run of the Hillary for Prison shirt is out right now. It's still a bestseller, but we're just saying what comes and goes. That's it. We coined the term, and it's $9.95. That's at cost, free shipping. We also have the limited edition, Don't Tread on Me, Lock Her Up shirt. Only one printing of that. That's almost sold out. Made in America, $22. We make like $12 on it. We need the money to fund the operation. Please take advantage of it. And free shipping, store-wide, InfoWarsStore.com. or call toll-free 888-253-3139. But if it's water filtration systems, whether it's reverse osmosis or gravity-fed, we go out and find the very best out there, highest rated, lowest price, buy them in bulk, sell it at prices lower than Amazon in many cases. But sometimes Amazon does better than us. Shop with us because we will viciously fight for freedom. We will viciously affect change. We will attack the globalists. I mean, let me tell you something. You couldn't drag me off this fight. I'm like a pit bull they breed for attacking wild hogs or something. Please don't tell me I'm a hero. I was born for this. Whatever happens, I'm in the fight. I love it. This is the best thing of my life. So, bottom line, we just need the support. We need the mid-air refueling, get products you need to fund this operation. And I absolutely pledge to you, I will tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. I will assault the enemy 18 hours a day. I will pray before I go to bed. Lift it up as a weapon against the enemy. Now, Joel Gilbert's our guest. We really appreciate the work he's doing. He, of course, Supreme is my real father, and the Utopia, Dystopia film about communism. Boy, all that's coming out. I want to get into what happened with Bill Clinton's, who I believe, illegitimate son. They're really trying to cover that up. But first, I want to talk to him about WikiLeaks. Does this not prove everything Joel Gilbert from joelgilbert.net has broken down? The shadow government running them, trying to bribe FBI agents, knowing they were destroying classified documents and hiding them. I mean, this is incredible. To watch the media try to unify even more to prop her up,
complete.
even if they steal the election or she gets in. These are political death blows, Joel Gilbert. I mean, no wonder they say they openly want to shut down the alt-right and demonize me by name, because they are just floundering, in my view.
I think, look, they're clearly floundering. They clearly put together this assault on Donald Trump week by week, knowing that they could probably get their media minions to only focus on Trump and give them an excuse to completely ignore these bombshell revelations. The biggest one, which I think really tells the whole story, is that Hillary explicitly said that there's a public policy for everything and a private policy. And nothing more is illustrated even
complete.
greater than in the story of Danny Williams, because she speaks affectionately for Black Lives Matter, but that's her public life. In her private life, she banished her husband's child, her own stepson, from her family. And so we know that when Hillary says Black Lives Matter and she feels for them, she's really thinking Black votes matter. And like everything else...
Well, exactly. You said this 5-6 years ago that she's a sociopath, only goes off polls. Then who is she? Because it's almost like she has multiple personalities. You've talked to a lot of experts. You've been on the trail, Joel Gilbert. Who is she really? What is her psychological profile?
Her psychological profile is that she really is a Chicago radical, just like Barack Obama. She had a Bill Ayers figure in her life, which was Carl Oglesby, the head of the SDS. She read his book, Containment and Change. And
she was pen pals with Saul Alinsky.
Not only pen pals, she met Saul Alinsky. He offered her a job. She said that rather than work for him on the outside, she wants to affect change from the inside. Her her college thesis was about Saul Alinsky.
While becoming a filthy rich pig that steals money from Haitian children.
Right, there can only be one fight. So she is at her core a 60s radical. She also had a Reverend Wright in her life, a radical minister named Don Jones, her Methodist youth minister that introduced her to Alinsky. So she has a similar background in terms of radical theologian, communist, SDS ideologue, way back, just like Obama had his Bill Ayers.
I totally agree. So 20 days out, what do you expect him to do next? This huge, elaborate attack. Most of the women, it's turned out, were hitting on him, asking him to come visit him in emails even this year. It's all deteriorating. They contacted over 1,000 women, found 9 of them to say touch their butt or touch their knee or whatever. He's evil. What comes next?
Hillary's entire campaign is simply, I think, to drug her up, to get her physically across the finish line, and simply focus on that Donald Trump is a creepy guy. She has no justification.
Oh, the way he walks around on the stage, menacing her.
There's no policy, there's no justification to have Hillary Clinton back in the White House. She has no policy of Barack Obama that she participated in that was successful. Everything was a dismal failure. All she can do is try to keep power in the Democrat Party and try to impose this coming era of liberal fascism, which I have no doubt she will implement through radical Supreme Court justices who will defy the constitutional law and impose laws eliminating.
So when Trump says this is make it or break at the end of America if he doesn't get in, I mean, barring physical resistance, this is probably it.
I believe this is it, because once she changes the Supreme Court justice to radical leftist nominees, once she adds a 7th commissioner to the FEC to break the ties, the policies we've seen Obama doing behind the scenes will just come out.
That's right. Let's be clear. The Federal Election Commission and the FCC, they're deadlocked, are on record that if they get a majority, they're going to ban free speech. They admit it.
No, you remember my case. They voted 3-3. It cut down a complaint to investigate me for making the film about Obama's.
Yeah, that's how real this is they're trying to shut you up, a filmmaker. They've arrested Dinesh D'Souza. Good guy.
Yeah, 3-3. Now, how can it be 3-3? It should be 6-0, that they should not be investigating a filmmaker for making a film about Obama's background. I presented a mountain of evidence that his real father was the Soviet agent, Frank Marshall Davis, who raised and radicalized him in his youth.
Who he wrote about in his own book, spending summers with Frank, his grandfather's best friend. It's hiding in plain view.
Well, it wasn't just summers. It was every day he went to Frank's house. Frank radicalized him into this anti-American, anti-white.
How do they square this, though, that they make hundreds of millions of dollars in office? They live the most of kings. They don't want poor people to have money, but then they prance around saying they're communist.
Well, that is the fraud, the total fraud of socialism and communism, that what we have is a new class of elites. They eliminate the entrepreneurial class, the so-called bourgeois. They want to destroy the drug companies, Wall Street, the banks, all the businesses. The business of America is business, but they want to destroy business and consolidate wealth and power in their own hands, leaving a large middle class to be eliminated. So we only have a lower class. Socialist economies don't have a middle class. They have an upper class elite, and they have the poor people. The upper class elites that are accumulating the wealth by destroying the people that make.
And by the way, history with hundreds of countries is incontrovertible that socialism and communism creates nightmare hells. Even small that never even get 10% there create fabulous development, fabulous innovation, fabulous civilization.
Progressives murdered 150 million of their own people during peacetime, as we saw in my film, There's No Place Like Utopia. Because they wouldn't fit into the perfect society, the perfect world. They didn't agree that they would conform. In Cambodia, they murdered anybody that had glasses, because if you had glasses, you could read. And they wanted to recreate humanity.
Oh, I got the Zeitgeist movement, admittedly supported by the UN and the New York Times. Tell me on air, you will be re-educated if you don't accept a computer deciding what job you have or where you live. And I go, that's total tyranny. And they just arrogantly go, we're going to run your life, we're liberal. Well, no, that's not liberal. That's called total totalitarianism, dumbass.
I call it liberal fascism. If you don't conform, this is what happened throughout history. You get sent to the gulag, you get sent for re-education, or you're simply eliminated. This is a totalitarian, depressing lifestyle to have a group of elites with all the wealth. The elites are, in socialism and communism, are state bureaucrats who don't produce anything. Therefore, you have a society that becomes impoverished. Today, we have, with a free market system, we have the entrepreneur class creating jobs and creating wealth and everybody moving up. Unfortunately, it seems that younger people, millennials, don't know these lessons of communism and socialism.
Oh, no, they say to me, oh, my God, England and Canada have such great health care. Oh, is that why it's rated horrible? People come here, even though ours is all corrupt and bad now? I mean, you know, they just have no, they think North Korea is great. I mean, it's crazy.
We've lost this lesson in history. In the 60s, they mobilized all of Hollywood. The government would educate people, put out films, and show that, look, if you look at Mao Zedong, Stalin, all these countries, Cuba, it's political repression and poverty and death. And we have not had that type of education, so you have people going to Bernie Sanders rallies. Sanders is just an old-school communist, and they're clapping for everything he says. We're going to go after Wall Street. We're going to destroy the banks. We're going to break up the pharmaceutical companies. Well, if you break up business, you end up being Venezuela or communist Russia. Where
sure, but let's add the final piece. If you read Carol Quigley's book or others, they admit this. There's an ultra-rich elite that want to get rid of the middle class to create a consolidation. So there's ultra corporations that are working with the socialists and communists to cut out the middleman and then cut out competition. And then they plan to double-cross the communists and set up a technocracy fascism. I agree with you when you've said the communists plan to double-cross the corporations and create a new dark age. So I don't know what's worse, a technocracy fascism or a dark age. I mean, it's just crazy.
We just need to constitutional republic.
Exactly.
And not follow these people that have a passion for destruction.
Not liberal to have true diversity of business and life and ideas. Thought control. That's real liberalism.
Look, in their mind, we've talked about this before, they look at America differently than conservatives. We look at the world and we say America is the greatest democratic constitutional republic in the history of mankind. The left looks at America and compares it to a perfect utopia and says it doesn't measure up. Therefore, we have to destroy it so we can rebuild the perfect world. And that is the fallacy of progressivism, and that's why it costs so much.
And all they ever build is nightmare hells that kill everybody. So, I've been asking some of the questions. We got 6 minutes left. Joel Gilbert, getting into the son of Bill Clinton. Clearly, he's the son of Bill Clinton. The whole background on that. You've done comparisons on their faces and photos. We can show some of that writing for WorldNet Daily. You helped put together the first film with that. I know, free of charge. We appreciate you being so dedicated to this out in L.A. when he flew out there. Let's spend 5 minutes on Danny Williams.
Yeah, I've been following this for 10, 12 years. Fascinated by it. And there's just no question in my mind that, Danny, is the son of Bill Clinton. There's not anybody in the world that looks like him, whose mother has been telling him since he was 5 years old that Bill was his father and who lives in Little Rock.
He looks a lot like skull shapes, very similar.
Well, look at the teeth. The teeth are a match. I've had dentists tell me, like with Frank Marshall Davis and Barack Obama, exact teeth match.
No, it is, especially the top teeth, yeah.
Yeah, the top teeth, ears, nose. I mean, it reminds me of the interview I did with Malik Obama, for example.
He's got hazel eyes. If you cross blue with brown, that's what you get.
It's really a complete match. And he has actually the thing he inherited from his dad is he does have this intangible likability factor. He really does have a
very
great
likable
personality. He's a great kid. And he talks about how when he was 5 years old, his aunt took him, they were on some kind of welfare. They needed some child support. They went to the governor's mansion. His aunt snuck in the gate when the gates opened, knocked on the door, asked for Hillary, and they slammed the door in her face, and they ran off, jumped over a fence, and were later paid some hush money, $700 a month, along with some Christmas presents. It's a very sad story, and I think anybody in urban America that's thinking of voting for Hillary really should look at this, because Danny talks about how it's the same as back in slave times when a slave owner would have a child with a slave, and the wife of the plantation owner would run him off the plantation and banishes the child. And that's essentially what happened to Danny. He was in foster homes when his father was president of the United States. He was in foster homes. He said going to bed hungry at night. Can you imagine that? I can't even imagine that.
It's incredible. I had Tracy Martin, the admitted chef of the Clintons, their travel chef for 5 of the 8 years or whatever. He worked for the Bushes as well. And he was just saying it was constant racial notes. She write notes, get this N-word to get me some food, or she would verbally say it, attacking Hispanics. And everybody I know about the Clintons say she's flaming racist, or just whatever is nasty to say. I think this is a pretty big story.
I think it's huge. Look, the Democrats...
Not Bill, I want to be clear. It's Hillary that says the race stuff.
Well, let's talk about public and private. Democrats opposed the civil rights movement. They broke up black families with a welfare system. They forced them into terrible schools. They turned urban America into drug culture, single mothers, violent neighborhoods, and they keep going back asking for their votes. On a personal level, you can see what they do to their own family. Malik Obama was discarded. All the Kenyan Obamas, I did an interview with him, they were discarded by Barack Obama because they no longer needed them. Danny Williams was, I think, discarded and denied by the Clintons because they don't need him. And I think it's a very sad story, and just incredible that Hillary Clinton essentially banished him from their lives, when in fact he's a great kid and they do good to embrace him. So I hope they.
I interviewed his aunt like 19 years ago. I mean, this is going on. I talked to the state police that were just appalled by it all. In closing,
incoming transmission.
Joel Gilbert, JoelGilbert.net. Folks want to find his films. We sell them as well on filmrestore.com. But regardless, just get them out to people. what do you in your gut think they're going to pull the next 20 days? Where do you think all this is going?
I think they're going to try to keep hammering, keep the focus on Donald's alleged
Incoming
indiscretion.
transmission.
Is he a creepy guy or is he not? He's racist. He talks poorly about African Americans. All these exaggerations and inferences that they make from anything he ever did or said 10, 20, 30 years ago, it's all coordinated with the media. And I'm hoping and thinking that people are going to be immune to it at some point. They're going to be sick of it, because this reminds us of what we went through with the Clintons, 20 years ago, where there was this constant Clinton pushing these narratives that were twisted and lies and I think it's actually reminding people of how annoying and disgusting the Clinton presidency was.
Exactly. If we take Billy Bush, he now admits that was like an hour-long conversation, and then he was goading, and clearly they were setting Trump up, and it's all edited. I mean, I could record you questions on a road trip. You might say something. I mean, now that I think about these tapes, I catch myself when I'm out hiking with buddies or whatever. I'm not even really a nasty guy. I'm not really, what I see is kind of, shocking. But I catch myself, saying some things I wouldn't want out there. And it's like, my God, this is the type of stuff that's going on. I mean, this woman's running ISIS. This woman is doing all this horrible stuff, and we're obsessed over some 11-year-old tape.
Well, I think that's the strategy, is to only focus on Trump, because there's no justification for electing Hillary to city council, let alone president of the United States. She does not qualify for security clearance. Everything she's touched turned into a disaster.
And now we know she tried to bribe the FBI. Joel Gilbert, thank you. Powerful information. Great job on the whole situation with Danny Williams. We're going to come back. We're going to get Joe Biggs and Michael Zimmerman here. They went to Haiti for a week with Mr. Haven, and this is so bombshell, I don't even know how to handle it. I mean, this should destroy the Clintons. This is incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Danny Williams, now of Hot Springs, Arkansas, grew up in Little Rock there at the Capitol, where his mother reportedly met the governor, Bill Clinton, is here with us. I remember interviewing your aunt back in the 1990s, church lady, many years, hard worker, great record. You yourself got 3 children, no record, hard-working guy. I think your story is very, very credible. We're going to walk through it. Thanks for coming to Austin, Texas, sir. Nice to have him here. We'll turn his mic on for folks. Danny, where to begin here? I mean, let's talk about you personally, where you're from, where you grew up, and then we'll start talking about the first time you ever heard from your mother that a certain person was your father.
Right. My name is Danny Williams. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm at age 30 right now. And all my life I've been told that Bill Clinton was my father by my mom, my aunt, and other relatives that grew up with me.
I mean, continue. I mean, I know you haven't been on TV before. You're live right now. Please keep going.
But anyway, yes, I want to know the truth about Bill Clinton being my father. And that's all I ask is the truth.
Do you think Bill Clinton's your father?
Yes, sir.
Instead of just going through your whole history, we're going to do it and talk about it, play clips of Clinton being asked about you by the press, and you won't respond. We're teleprompter free here. I just, out of the gates, Bill Clinton will be watching this. This is undoubted. Obama responded to us yesterday, Hillary a few weeks ago. They watch every day. This shows it. Thousands of newspapers a day, all over every...
Yes, sir.
We didn't do some pre-interview here. You just flew in at like 11 o'clock today. You just got here about an hour ago.
Right.
Looking at that camera right there, sir, camera 4. Bill Clinton, William Jeffrey Clinton will either be watching this live or he'll watch it later. What do you want to say to Bill Clinton? Camera 4.
I mean, I'd just like to ask and say to Bill Clinton that I want to meet you. I want to shake your hand. I want my kids to know their grandfathers. And I like to just, I like to just meet them, get to know them, and I mean, I never had a father in my life, so, it's hard. It's difficult in explaining it,
It's okay, go with it. It's all right. I've talked to you in private. I understand coming from the middle of Arkansas to now being with the top link on Drudge, and you can see yourself right there and mentioning and all over the world, but just tell it like it is. You believe Bill Clinton's your father. Your mother always told you that. He sent you money, all the rest of it.
Right.
He won't respond to it. So Bill Clinton and Hillary are watching right now.
Right.
Talk about an epic story. The videos on your Facebook, it's on InfoWars, trying to go over the fence of the governor's mansion. You wanted to meet your dad daddy? I mean, you're meeting him right now digitally.
Right.
Right there, my friend. What do you want to say?
I like to say, my name is Danny Williams. I like to just say, you know, I want to be able to experience that having a father in your life. You know what I'm saying? And now I got kids of my own. I want my kids to know their grandfather. They ask me all the time, "Who's your dad?" You know, so I mean, it's
Research
my chance
complete.
now and get my story out and letting the world know who I am and who's my father and, you know, the truth about everything.
Well, the Daily Mail has the headline: Bill Clinton's grandkids. You know, will he look into meeting with them? We'll go back to that in a moment, but just starting at the beginning.
Okay.
Break down how you grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas. You're now in Hot Springs. What it was like and when you first began to hear this.
Okay. Well, growing up in Arkansas, it was like everybody knew. Everybody, you know, they'll say, "That's Bill Clinton's son." And everywhere I go, you know. So, I mean, growing up, it was rough growing up. I mean, we barely was making it. We was broke. I mean, my aunt, she worked 2 jobs trying to raise us, me and my little brothers and sisters. I mean, everybody in Arkansas at the time I was coming up knew about me being his son, preachers and all.